welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in Impact Wrestling history with match number 48 on our list, which is the TNA World Heavyweight Championship 3-way elimination match between the champion Jeff Hardy and his two challengers, Austin Aries and Bobby Roode, from the TNA Genesis 2013 pay-per-view held back on the 13th of January 2013. This match is essentially a handicap match, and I think handicap matches are, hard to make compelling, right? They're always kind of the same trope that either you have, the face overcome the heels, and it's very illegitimate, right? There's lots of things about it that just seem wrong, right? Why don't the heels just double team the face the whole time, or, whatever the case may be, or it's used more for storyline advancement, right? The heels just beat down the face. They're never really satisfying. So although this is a three-way match, it does have a lot of similarities to a handicap match, and it's one of the best performed matches of that type that I've ever seen, just because of the way it's all done is very smartly crafted, and it feels legitimate. It feels like this match could, possibly happen as much as it could possibly happen in a kayfabe realm, right? So the story here is that the deck's stacked against Jeff Hardy. He's been feuding with both of these guys, so it comes together in this three-way match. Immediately, Roode and Aries waste no time whatsoever. They use the 2-on-1 to their advantage, and they beat down Hardy, but he stays in it. He does a lot of stick-and-move stuff with his signature offense, but very quickly they establish that it's going to be a problem for Hardy to maintain any sort of an extended run here because he does not have eyes in the back of his head. So, for example, he goes for a whisper in the wind, and Aries, sweeps his legs out off the top rope. And, he gets an advantage again, and he goes for a swanton bomb on Aries, but Bobby Roode crotches him on the top rope. And they basically just set up this story of whenever Hardy gets something going on one of them, the other is there to cut it off and to stop it. There's an extended, kind of beat down on Hardy, and he's a dude that always does a good job getting the crowd behind him, and he's really good at fighting from beneath, even though he's bigger than his opponents in this match, right? It's funny when you consider the Hardy Boys to be these small guys compared to who they're normally statured up with in the WWF. They are actually quite big, right? It's just it's that perception. So you put him against a guy like Aries, that's a smaller wrestler for sure, and then actually they come across as larger. But he still does a really good job as that resilient babyface. There's a really excellent spot here where the heels, they go away from what had been working from them, right? Kind of that, one guy beating down and the other kind of standing off to the side and like I said, cutting off Hardy if he gets offense going, and they try a double team. So they actually go for a really elaborate, like kind of stacked up superplex where, one of them props the other up on their shoulders and they're going to suplex Jeff off the top. But he fights it off and he's able to hit basically like a doomsday whisper in the wind, which was really cool, and take them both out in one swoop. And from there, he starts to get things going. There's a spot where Aries goes, for his heat-seeking missile, like his tope he does, through the bottom and the second rope. But Hardy manages to pull Bobby Roode in front of him, right? And he takes the tope. From there, all of Hardy's offense, he's learned from that, stacked up whisper in the wind spot. So he starts to use offense that takes both guys out at the same time. He'll, suplex one onto the other and jump off of one onto the other. And, he's doing his best at that point to make sure at both times he has, that at all times he has both guys under control, which was really, really smart. He, capitalizes on a couple miscommunications, right? Roode and Aries are starting to fall apart a little bit. He does make a mistake where he goes for, one of those Hardy Boys tandem moves. He goes for a poetry in motion, but when he goes to run and jump off of Aries' back, Bobby Roode actually jumps off Aries' back instead and hits a spear. From there, it seems like it's going to be game over for Hardy. Austin Aries hits a brainbuster. Roode very smartly, stands back and allows the count to happen. Hardy kicks out. From here, though, something shifts in Bobby Roode, and this is why I love this match, because he's a calculating heel, right? He's kind of like a mini Triple H, in the TNA realm. He plays that game, right? That cerebral kind of wrestling style. So knowing that Hardy's on the ropes and just took Aries' finishing move, the Brainbuster, he sets Hardy up and he tells Aries to go to the top rope and hit the 450, right? So Aries goes up for the 450, and what does Roode do? He pulls Hardy out of the way, allows Aries to crash and burn, hits him with a quick fisherman suplex, and you know, tries to get the win, right? Thinking, okay, well, if I can sneak up, get Aries out of here, Hardy's on the ropes, I can put him away and win the TNA title. What happens though? Aries kicks out. So from there, you know, you have the two heels completely fall apart. They had a rivalry through the summer over the TNA title, so you know that they have that kind of pre-existing beef with each other. They go into extended matchup sequence. This gives Hardy time to rest. Aries ends up getting a backslide on Roode, and what happens again in a really, really clever spot, Hardy sneaks in and hits like his compactor move, right? That kind of leg drop he does over both opponents' legs, and that seals up Roode, right? The combination of the backslide and the compactor is enough to put him away. So, you know, this leads to Aries, who at this point has no idea that Hardy had interjected himself back in the match. He starts talking smack to Roode about, you know, you tried to screw me, but I pinned you. And then in just a really clever spot, the announcer announces that Bobby Roode had been eliminated by Jeff Hardy. And that causes Aries to kind of question that. And again, rather than immediately go after Hardy, what does he do? He makes another key mistake. He lets his ego get the best of him. He's embarrassed that he just talked all this trash to Roode about a pinfall that he didn't get. And he goes and he questions the referee. And that allows Jeff Hardy to very quickly hit two twist of fates. Aries tries to counter. Hardy hits a third through the ropes and puts him away almost immediately with a swanton bomb. So both of these guys that had this incredible game plan through the match, you know, threw aside what was working for them. They didn't focus on what they were doing, and it led to their demise and Jeff Hardy retaining the title in a very legitimate way for him to beat two high caliber opponents. It was so smart. I feel like this match is a super hidden gem when it comes to TNA. 2013 wasn't the greatest year overall for the promotion. It was again another year where it kind of seemed like they were maybe going to go on their deathbed, but this started off the year super hot. A really, really great contest. You of course can watch it on Impact Plus. Please follow the account here on YouTube and subscribe, and you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50. And please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50.